back today to talk a little bit about energy, and I'm going to drop a little bit of knowledge about what happens with our food, how we get energy electrically for the heart and the brain or the central nervous system, and how it is when you've gone decades in as a medicine woman, or what I have been referred to and call myself as a shaman. A shaman is kind of like a medicine woman. We work with the field, whether scientifically you look at that as quantum physics, or you look at that as a traditional medicine person and you address this as the ancestors. In any event, both of them work and they're really good for me, so hopefully they're good for you too. Now let me tell you a little bit about a story. I was born in 1961 in San Francisco. My parents were living in Cupertino and they traveled over to the Kaiser Hospital, where I was born breech, left-handed, and a lot of other things which I later found out had a lot to do with radiation in my thyroid. When I was about 4 or 5 years old, I used to go over to an orchard that was just aside from our house. We lived in the Branham and Cherry area of San Jose at this time. My parents had bought a house on Searcy Drive. And there were apricot orchards that were just a block or two over. So it wasn't the megatropolis that San Jose, California is right now. I would go out there with a little plastic ice cream bucket and take the apricots off the tree. Now at that time, my grandmother had already been working with me, and at some point in time she began teaching me how to do billet readings and using my mind in many different ways. Many ways that are absolutely foreign to just about everyone that I've ever spoken with. When I went over to the apricot orchards, I used to use my palm to select which piece of the fruit I was going to take based on the electricity I felt from the fruit. And I can tell you that since that time, the mid-1960s, I've never felt electricity from food again. The closest thing we have to electric food is what the Honorable Dr. Sebi talked about, which is food that has the least amount of hybridization, food that most certainly is not genetically modified, food that has not had the seeds removed from it. It's not been denatured, devitalized. So energy is extremely important. If you're going to have high levels of electric energy coming from your heart, your EKG, and most people will tell me, I have heart palpitations, my heart kind of flutters. That means you're not getting enough minerals. You could be taking loads of mineral supplements every day, but you're not getting electricity from the food anymore. I don't care even if it isn't hybridized. The majority of food and the majority of heirloom seeds have actually been absconded with. So if you have the ability to feel the energy from the food like I did in the mid-1960s, I also carry the energy because of the way that I was extensively worked with my grandmother, to be able to scan the body. Because with decades of being plant-based, and as you can see, I don't have a lot of extra fat on my body, I have just enough. With decades of committing to being plant-based, even if I did veer off the proverbial wagon 2, 3, 4, or 5 times through emotional states, mistakes, depression, a partner that was a heavy meat eater, or you get back on and your body vibrates at a much higher level. Your energy is higher, your intelligence becomes exponentially higher, but your intuition becomes phenomenally higher at a different level. So you see, I was taught a long time ago through the field, which is this energy soup that we live in that Barbara Brennan talked about in Hands of Light. She's a former NASA scientist, and she opened her own school teaching people energy work before everything became replaced with another corporate program called Reiki energy work. We knew to do energy work, and energy naturally came from the electrical system of our body. That's why if you go to the doctor, they might start to measure you and say, we're going to find out how much electricity do you have. We're going to do an EKG, an electrocardiogram, or we're going to do an EEG, an electroencephalogram, to measure the brain. And there goes Luna today. So people find it exceptionally hard to believe when I say I can scan you. We can do laying on of hands. And I just want to bring up that as I was leaving our local Whole Foods market getting a cup of yerba mate, which is a green tea, I ran into my client Brian. I won't say his last name even though I'm sure he doesn't mind. But in 6 to 8 sessions, we reversed Brian's 31-year extensive psoriasis to the point that most people would have been uncomfortable touching his hands. They were red, the skin was peeling off, and I met with Brian in person at my favorite Amazing Grace coffee shop, which used to be my favorite in Canal Park in Duluth, Minnesota, close to my shop, but an easy place to meet people from Wisconsin and Duluth. And I met Brian there. We did extensive mind-body work that I factored in many different equations based on what I heard, what I observed, and what I felt in the field. I gave Brian some suggestions, and Brian's psoriasis of 31 years, which actually retired him out of a wonderful service occupation that he had in life that came from his heart, he was able to reverse that 85%, and Brian went off to a retreat center where he was able to do some supervised fasting for 21 days, and the remaining 15% of his psoriasis completely cleared. So I just ran into Brian at Whole Foods Market in Duluth, and he's one of hundreds that I've worked with in Minnesota, and he's one of thousands that I've worked with all over the world, including in California, my 42-year home before I came to Minnesota 15 years ago, in this very shirt with this very bracelet. So I put it on today just to kind of spark some memories, even if I have to fix the side of it. So I'm out here today on this beautiful day. We get energy from the fruit. I literally felt the vibration, and I would use my hand as a scanning instrument. That's the only words, because words are so inferior to telepathy. My hand was like a scanning instrument over the fruits and vegetables to pick which one carried the highest vibration. And the same thing is true with humans, whether on the phone, virtually through Skype. I've had people all over parts of Africa that all of a sudden I get a feeling about. I sent them an inbox and they said, absolutely, I'm suffering from that right now. Or I said, you have a baby girl coming. And certainly enough, Mr. Pulang from South Africa said, there's no way you could have known that. I did not really have, I wasn't married at the time. And his baby girl arrived months later. He sent me an inbox and said, that's phenomenal. How do you do that? See, I want you to know something really important. We all have that ability. We all have the ability to scan. We're going to walk this way for a moment. We all have the ability, but because your food system, the food industry, has tainted the food and it no longer contains vital vibration and energy in it, it no longer contains minerals which activate you. People like myself are extremely rare. In fact, I don't even know if there's another human being, without grandiose thinking here, self-aggrandizement. I don't know if there's even another human being that does what I do, because now we have been hoodwinked into becoming, did you have your credential? Did you go to your medical school? Do you do everything according to a code? Does everything have to be scientifically measured? Hi, sweetie. There's Sapphire. Is everything empirically measured for you? But in a world of energy, the tangible world is secondary to the vibes, the electricity, the feel. So if I'm going to help someone, I'm going to be able to scan their body in real time, and I can literally feel, using my hand as an instrument, using my mind as an instrument, what's going on with that person. And on a medical intuitive level, I've cited in my far eye a spore, like I did for Deb, who's a testimonial on my website. I've cited congestion. I have used my hands as a tool and felt the upper breast and felt all the cysts which were congealing around the areola, the nipple. I have felt people that have literally tons of gristle around their hip bones up here. Reflexology through the feet when people are more often than not excessively starch stiff. You can barely feel the organs through the feet. So what I want to say is, if we have grandmothers today, we have healers out there, and they themselves are not well. If they themselves are munching down on some Domino's pizza and having a couple of beers with the girls, and they're taking pharmaceutical drugs for high blood pressure and cholesterol, do you think I'm really going to take you seriously that you're a healer? I'm probably not. I'm probably going to say that yes, you're a healer and I respect you, but why aren't you healing yourself first? All of the grandmothers have been replaced with women that perpetually want to be little girls. Women that have been disempowered. Women that no longer sing the songs that are meaningful and the chants and gather together and make real food. Because food is a drug. And if food is a drug, then our elders have become swindled, they've been minimized, and therefore they're also becoming disrespected because the younger ones can see that they've also fallen for the trap. So it's not me judging you what you eat. It's not me judging you that I'm a better healer than you. It's me saying that, yes, it's a food trap system. Certainly, I tell my clients and my people, my tribe, 10% of the time, I might eat something that has a little wheat or a little bit of this in it, but there are certain things I do not touch. Because the price that I would pay is too great to lose what I have earned in my mind intelligently and intuitively. How I can keep my emotional intelligence high. Part of that is getting out every single day and walking, being out in nature, taking our time to be in the present moment, making sure the camera doesn't trip and fall on the barrier there. It's making sure that instead of putting in coffee, which actually forms cysts in the breast, making sure that instead of eating a big sandwich or a big piece of Domino's or Pizza Hut or, a Subway sandwich or something and throwing all the dough down the hatch, that maybe on a rare occasion I have a vegan muffin that maybe has a little bit of wheat in it, like I did recently. That I can go make myself a pizza with a raw cauliflower crust and put nutritional yeast for cheese and make myself a pate in the food processor and put veggies on the top and have a delicious pizza. So you see, the changes that you make are not that substantial. But we fear women being powerful. Right, Luna? Luna is very powerful. She's a female. I am comfortable with her alpha status. But as a people with patriarchy, we are not comfortable with a very empowered, powerful, divine elder female. But we're going to start. We're going to start today. We're going to start yesterday. We're going to keep moving forward. Because instead of having someone that's dictatorial, oligarchy in nature, and punitive and legislative, we need something that's organic, that's vibration-based, that is kind, nurturing, and nourishing. And that's why I'm going to continue to bring these videos to and for you and with you. I'm going to listen to the comments that you leave. I'm going to listen to the heartbeat, and I'm going to continue to build a world family until we resurrect real food, real family relations with each other, and we tame the hypersexual beast, the beast that is Babylon, the head, the tail, the belly of the beast, and until we remove ourselves from the obligation of toil and surrender and submission. So long.